Welcome back to TYT Sports. Turks and jerks every Monday morning, except in this case, afternoon.
Rick, it's great to see you again.
Nice
Welcome
to be back.
Yeah.
You know, Rick will be here, and because of that, and most people for 3 years didn't realize that I wasn't Rick, means I don't think I have to show up anymore.
Well, we can continue to expect the same great effort that you've been giving for the last 3 years.
Thanks, Ben.
Has it really been 3 years since Rick's been gone? Because that time,
a little bit, 3.5.
I got to be honest, has flown by.
Yeah. What have you done in those 3 years, Ben?
I got one little nice laugh from Edwin. All right, let's go.
We're gonna start with best. We'll move into worst afterwards. Who's your best of the week? I'll let you start. You haven't been on TYT Sports in months.
Why don't you start? Because I got to find the list.
We got to find your best of the week.
No, I have it. I just got to find the link.
We're gonna be highlighting punters today on.
All right, I got it. I'll go first. So it's really easy, and it's not from Sunday. It's from Thursday.
You're going back to.
I'll go back to Thursday, and I'll go Alex Smith. I mean, this is a guy I think had thrown what 4 300-yard games in his career. That staggered me, right? Staggered me, but 28 of 35 for 368, the highest quarterback rating, the highest QBR. Those are different things. QBR is a simplified version, but nobody knows what any of them are.
No, we
it's
don't.
just, but anyway, you know, and those throws, those deep throws, which had some significant yards after the catch from Hunt, but they were great throws. And Thursday Night Football, which has so many cameras, just I thought you looked, and when you were behind Alex Smith, and you saw, man, he threw that ball over to, there were guys 20 yards downfield, he had to get the ball over. Sure. It was just really impressive and great to see for a guy who you like rooting for.
Turns out the Chiefs are one of the few teams who do not need Colin Kaepernick's skill set.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a bit. And oddly enough, of course, they're one of the teams that don't need Colin Kaepernick's skill set. And of course, Alex Smith is on the Chiefs because of Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah, that's actually true.
Because he was what, 8-1 or 7-1 as the Niners quarterback and got hurt, and then barely hurt. Was able to come back the next week and lost his job anyway, and it turned out to be the right call because Kaepernick was so magical in that year that ultimately led the Niners to the Super Bowl.
He wasn't that.
Or maybe that was the year before. Excuse me, that was the year before where they lost to the Giants in the championship game.
Don't forget, in back-to-back NFC Championship or NFC playoff games, at least Cap ran for 300 some odd yards combined over Mike McCarthy's.
Yeah, I still think that if this guy ever gets a chance to play again, because I thought last year was he had some okay games last year, and he is not a traditional quarterback. I get those arguments, but those arguments are pretty easily debunked. There's only one reason why Colin Kaepernick's not in the league, and that's because of politics. It's 100%. That's it. Otherwise, he'd have a job. He is apparently, we learned this week, still at his playing weight. He's at 230 pounds.
Yes.
And I think that we didn't get a chance to see the Dolphins this weekend, but if I going into this season could have taken Jay Cutler or Colin Kaepernick as my quarterback, everything aside, I would have taken Colin Kaepernick.
The Dolphins is the one team that I actually have no problem with the Jay Cutler signing because of
no, I got the connection with Adam Gase. I got it. I totally. It's going to be another point, but I get it. And an argument where you'd rather have Cutler than Kaepernick is an okay argument.
Speaking of the Dolphins and the Bucs who didn't play football, do you think they should have moved that game up to Friday or Thursday instead of making them play 16 straight weeks? Because they don't get a bye now. It's not.
First of all, it's Miami and Tampa Bay. Nobody cares.
Well, hold up for a second. I think Tampa Bay has a shot at the playoffs.
I'm not saying the teams are bad. I'm just saying nobody cares.
They're not relevant football teams.
The Dolphins have a shot at the playoffs. You know how we know that? The Dolphins unbelievably made the playoffs last year.
That's true. That's a very good point.
So I got it. It's just the fans of those teams aren't real fans.
The Dolphins are relevant.
No, you aren't.
And you're irrelevant and irrelevant teams. Even this many years later, the Dolphins are relevant.
The Dolphins have. I think I said they're relevant, right?
Well, because of Miami,
they have such
Dan Marino, the history.
They have a rich history, and
Jim Carrey.
But Tampa Bay is unquestionably an irrelevant NFL team. They could win 4 straight Super Bowls, they'd still be irrelevant. They won't, but they could.
They could.
So no, I get it, both those teams, but it doesn't. First of all, I don't know whether you remember this, young Jason, but teams didn't used to have byes. You used to have to play every week. That's how it went.
Yeah, then fortunately, science came around and they said like,
oh, science? That's what it was? No, the networks wanted 17 weeks of football.
They wanted money. So here's my question, right?
Nothing to do with science.
Here's my second question.
Jesus,
my more important
science,
question.
the byes start in like week 3.
Here's my more important question. Why wouldn't they add a second bye week then? Then you get 18 weeks of football.
Sure, and plenty of owners wanted that. No question owners wanted it.
So what could possibly be holding that up?
I don't think the Players Association wanted that, and if the Players Association wanted more money for that.
That's true.
And they had to work it out with the networks. I don't know who was on every side of that, but the reason for the first bye was money. The reason for the second bye would be.
The reason for anything in sports ever, except for Colin Kaepernick, is money.
But if you're going to play 16 games, it's okay with me if you did it over 18 weeks. That's fine. I don't have a fan. I'm not a fan of any team anymore because I fired Washington.
That's right.
So I don't like 18 weeks of football.
I thought you were a roving Brian Hoyer fan. That's kind of what I pegged you as.
I bet on Brian Hoyer. I bet on Brian. Let me tell you who I bet on yesterday. Here's the 3 quarterbacks.
What did you go yesterday overall? Did you pick every game?
2 and 6.
6 and 7. So
2 and 6, maybe 2 and 7. I bet on. Here are the quarterbacks I bet on.
It's going to be
Andy Dalton.
Yep.
Eli Manning.
Of course.
Tom Savage.
Jesus.
Tom Savage. Wait, what's the other one? I'm missing one. Oh, and Brian Hoyer. So Brian Hoyer, Tom Savage, Andy Dalton, Eli Manning. Those were 4 of the worst quarterback performances.
You would think that Andy Dalton could have potentially in some other universe, Earth 2, bailed you out.
You know what game I won? First of all, some reason I didn't bet the Rams. I loved the Rams, and I bet the under in the Rams, which lost, of course, but wasn't really the wrong bet. If the Rams had stopped scoring on defense,
right.
That bet probably wins.
Hold on, I can pick this out. You said who'd you win on? You probably won on the Jaguars.
I won on the Bills.
Okay.
Right. And I won on.
You like betting Week 1 Jaguars?
No, I lost it. I bet the Texans.
But normally you take the Jaguars in Week 1.
Yeah, well, I went the wrong way, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. The Browns?
No, I won on the. Of course. It turns out I bet a good play. I bet the Packers. That was a win.
That was a good play.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of, so that's another. Turk-worthy mention is considering how much you discuss and talk about, even just around the office, clock management in football. It is torturous if you have. I had the Seahawks in that game. It is torturous knowing that when Aaron Rodgers gets that ball with 8 minutes left,
he knows how to do it.
He's going to use, and of course they put it in your best player's hands. Like when you normally draw up a play, a bootleg to get that first down to end the game. If you're any other 29 of the other quarterbacks in the NFL, 31 of the other quarterbacks, save for a few. Aaron Rodgers executes it perfectly and just hits Martellus Bennett.
And in that last drive where they need it again, if the Seahawks force a punt, they get the ball with a chance to score and get 2. And Packers probably win that game anyway. And I would have won my bet either way because I had the Packers in the second half.
You were fine.
So, but 2 1st and 5s.
Yeah,
because that cadence, man, he keeps drawing them off sides,
and he gets the free play more than I'm curious.
He draws them off and he gets the free play.
Well, that's what to Jordy Nelson. They know what to do. Jordy Nelson knows exactly what to do.
Yeah, they got off sides. He's like, I'll just keep running.
Besides the fact that if you're actually watching Aaron Rodgers, he clears the lane. He clears that lane right up the middle with just his movement inside the pocket for the 2 seconds he's there before he lets go of the ball. Because he's looking elsewhere, knowing that Jordy Nelson's going to be where he needs to be, and he slings it in for a really easy looking, yet more than.
I love everything about Aaron Rodgers.
But if you saw before that, there was a block in the back that should not have been a block in the back on the Seahawks returning a touchdown on defense, which was a bad call, but you can't blame that. Russell Wilson's fumble was also bad, and that's what led to the Ty Montgomery touchdown, in which the Seahawks, that very much screamed 6-3 Packers win, 6-3 Seahawks win for almost that entirety of that game. I do want to show you the video of Pat McAfee, who I think works for Barstool now, ex-Colts punter, was extremely impressed with Johnny Hecker's punting job of the Los Angeles Rams, and we have a piece of that.
All right, so Johnny Hecker is a monster. Very good, probably the best punter in the game right now, actually. He dropped this ball, let me try to get this. He dropped this ball sideways to try to make it spin right. I've never seen anybody have enough balls to do this in a game, because if you miss this, it's going like 7 yards. So he drops this thing. You see that ball? It is completely sideways. Normally, balls are this way, right? That ball is this way. He's trying to hit it in a chopper style so it'll bounce right. And this motherfucker makes it bounce right at the 6-yard line. That's impressive shit. Look, celebrate. Do something sweet. Do something sweet. Do something sweet. Standard Caucasian high five. Good job. Okay, good.
Excellent commentary.
Yeah, I could watch that. All that was it. That's all I need to see.
That's all you need. 50 seconds. Also, there was also
Pat McAfee talks punting.
I could listen to it a couple more times.
So my friend Jim Altman and I, who was one of the funniest guys ever. I hope he doesn't see this video. He's a reporter in Hartford, but we would imitate the season-long NFL films recaps, 30-minute videos that they used to put out. I'm sure they still do, but you'd have to buy them and put them in your VCR back in the day.
What's a VCR?
And we do it because bad teams have to have it too, right?
That's right.
So when the Saints were like, but on this day, Saints punter Russell Erxleben would not be denied. Punt after punt, 50 yards, 60 yards. This one was out at the 2-yard line, forcing the Steelers to go 98 yards to score, which they, of course, did.
Right.
Right.
Well, on NFL TV, they were leading up to the season. They were doing every team's playbook, and they get to the Browns playbook.
You're right. Well, that's a tough.
What's in the Browns playbook?
Right. But on this day, Russell Erxleben's punts were high. They were majestic, sailing near the top of the Superdome, requiring a fair catch from Oilers punt returner Billy White Shoes Johnson.
Right. All right. Before we get into
all right. So Alex Smith, he was great. That's my turk of the week.
And yeah, Johnny Hekker.
Oh, that's yours?
Yeah.
All right.
Look, you can go elsewhere if you want your standard
the Rams
picks.
defense? Yeah, by the way, Wade Phillips.
There's a lot of easy picks, of course.
Wade Phillips, by the way, pay attention to the Rams this year. I'm not saying they're going to the playoffs or that they'll do any better than 6-10 or something.
According to Wade Phillips' history, they do.
But that defense is going to keep them in games, and this was an unfair Jared Goff. Everything worked right for the Rams, but I will tell you that looked like a different quarterback, just in the degree of confidence that he had. So
that's a good point. Actually, we have a couple Rams things here. So we run the Chuck Pagano. You see what happened after the game?
Chuck Pagano, sure. Yeah, this was funny.
This is a good 8-second soundbite.
I mean, we got our asses kicked, and credit 49ers and Coach McVay.
Yeah, the 49ers and Coach McVay. And then the attendance.
Just to be clear, they were playing the Rams.
Were they?
Yeah, that was the Los
Did
Angeles
anybody
Rams.
see it?
Well, thank God that the blackout rules aren't in effect, because then us good people of Los Angeles, well, I don't know about thank God, it would be okay if we didn't see the Rams.
I think both LA teams make the playoffs, though, by the way.
You think the Rams will make the playoffs? So they're not winning you don't think they'll win the division? The Seahawks will win the division?
I think the Seahawks defense,
So you think that the Rams will be a good enough team?
I think their defense has always been good enough.
And now they have a really elite defensive coach.
They do, and I think that, look, Sean McVay has got a lot of attention on him. He's 31, 32 years old, but I'm a fan of seeing anybody even remotely in the ballpark of my age, because they're trying to bring maybe a new school
I would just like to point out that you were then saying that they will beat either, let's just say, we don't know, let's take the teams that lost and that we don't know about out, but that the Lions and the Packers, right, are gonna likely, Lions, Packers, Vikings, Eagles, and then Panthers / Saints
the Cowboys
/ Buccaneers, who you think has a chance. I'm just saying, you've got to finish second, and you can only lose to one other second place team.
Yeah, I think the Lions
assuming that the Cowboys and the Packers, and that somebody wins the South.
It's an outside shot. I think both LA teams make the playoffs.
I just want to point out, in a matter of 20 seconds, that's how long you stuck to your convictions. You went from, I think both LA teams make the playoffs. I think there's an outside shot that both, very bold. Very bold.
Look,
yeah, of course. I think there's an outside shot that both LA teams make the playoffs.
I think both Los Angeles football teams that nobody wants here make the playoffs, and they don't sell out the playoff games. But well, I mean, you're throwing out teams like the Lions. Like, look, the Lions. Matt Stafford now has they
went to playoffs last year, right?
46. They did. Does anybody remember?
I don't. I'm not even sure. That was more of a question.
Just that the Dolphins went to the playoffs last year.
I know, right? I'm just saying it's hard to make the playoffs. So
it does show how bad the Colts are.
Yeah, the Colts are bad, and I think the Colts are bad even with Andrew Luck. I think that the Colts are in significant trouble this year. I don't know what the timetable is for Luck, but I'm just saying about the Rams that defense is pretty good. Sammy Watkins makes a difference because they got to follow him around the field.
Todd Gurley could play.
And the young kid from Washington State, even though he dropped a ball, that receiver, Cooper Kupp.
Yes.
He looked good.
Yes.
Goff looked like, especially in a week that had some really terrible quarterback performances, you looked and you thought,
look fine.
This may be an NFL quarterback. too early to tell.
Again, against a really bad, who they play, does it matter? The Colts, the 49ers, who the Rams play?
The Colts.
When do they play the 49ers?